I actually have two questions. The first one's probably quick. Yesterday, kind of going along the whole question line that I had of chanting better, you had said that when we start chanting more purely, that Krishna will appear. What symptoms, or how does that, what does that look like when Krishna's come to us? In what way? How does that
Not
manifest?
what it looks like.
Or what does it feel like?
How do you feel like?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see it yourself. Or you'll feel it yourself. Example is, when you are hungry and when you eat, does somebody have to come and tell you that now you have eaten, you are really satisfied? You feel it yourself. The symptoms will be manifest and so on. And it is, our business is not to judge others. Our business is to see what's happening to us ourselves.
Thank you. My other question was from your lecture this morning. You were talking about bringing ourselves to the, coming to the platform of Vaishnava.
Okay, I'll just add one thing also to your first question. That what actually happens when you begin to chant and derive its benefit, then all the divine qualities become manifest in that person. The divine qualities are, the prime ones are humility, tolerance, mercy, truthfulness, generosity, magnanimity. So these are the qualities that automatically develop.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This morning you were talking about bringing ourselves to the platform of a Vaishnava, and you were giving the example of the bicycle, and someone became upset and someone became angry and in the mode of passion. And something I've always tried to figure out and maybe have struggled with understanding is how do our emotions that come up just as part of being in a human body, how does that factor into all of that?
One will act according to the mode that he is in. Okay. Right?
So it's very telling then. Whatever comes up, whatever emotion surfaces is very telling.
Well, the thing is that with one's wisdom and will, one can change his attitude. Like, for example, somebody may get that urge, okay, let me beat him up. Right? But then he controls himself. No, that won't be the right thing to do. So this is how, with his higher judgment or wisdom, he can control his tendencies and nature. The general tendency will be to act according to the impulse created by the mode. Like a tiger will act like a tiger, but a cow will act like a cow. So these are the examples of animals under the modes. A lion is in a mode of passion, whereas a cow is in a mode of goodness. Don't their nature depict that? Whereas similarly, the human beings also, develop different nature or characteristics or attitude according to their modes. The modes that they are influenced by. That is, the mode is influencing the body.
And the mind too, I guess.
Yeah, also that's also a body, subtle body. Yes, the modes are affecting our gross and subtle body.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Maharaj, on the 7th offense, we said that to commit the sinful activities on the strength of the chanting of the holy name. So, how do we understand what are the sinful activities? What one should do and what should not do?
By watching how sinful your tendencies still are. Or thinking that, well, I'm a devotee, I can do that. Like, I'll give you an example. It was a long time ago. I was in Anyway, I don't want to mention the name. Anyway, I can also mention. I was in Montreal, and I went in a morning walk, and one of our devotees went and picked some flowers from, some garden. And I told him not to do that. And his thing was, I'm doing it for Krishna. But I told him, you may think that you are doing it for Krishna, but what's the guarantee that Krishna will accept it? Because it is stealing. You're stealing. What is the definition of stealing? Taking something without the permission from the authority or the owner. So it's stealing. Even though you may think that, I can do it because I'm doing it for Krishna. But the other consideration is that if somebody sees you dressed as a devotee and stealing like that, he is not going to think that you are taking it for Krishna or whatever your purpose is. He will see Hare Krishna devotees are doing that. So, this is how it will be so damaging for our movement, individually and collectively. So we shouldn't think, because I'm a devotee I can do that. Because I'm a devotee I can lie. Because I'm a devotee I can steal. No. Devotee has to be exemplary. His character should be spotless. No more sinful activity. All right? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I have two questions. The first one is, how a mentally retarded person will get delivered in this life by following Krishna consciousness?
You see, again the point is, as you said, mentally retarded. Now, is he able to accept Krishna consciousness? Right? Because that is, he mentally retarded means mentally he is not able to appreciate the value and recognize the importance and act. But still, if he chants the holy name, he'll get the benefit. Even though he may be, because he may be mentally retarded, but if he can speak, right, and if he can chant the holy name, yes, he'll get the benefit. And I would rather, avoid these hypothetical questions. Just make it, relevant. Can we ask a question, if a monkey chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra, will he get benefit? The question is whether the monkey will be able to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Right? So, the consideration here is that human being has developed intelligence, and with his developed intelligence, he is able to decide for himself what he should do. And good association can lead him to that point. If it does, yes, he'll get the benefit. Right?
I have another question. I want to explain three situations. One is person meeting with an accident. I mean, they are dying because of the accident. Then the other situation is getting murdered. An individual or a shootout happens, mostly in US, you can see in many places, a shootout happens, many people are dying, and the third situation is the natural calamities. So, of all these things, the people who are involved, I mean the victims, they are not aged. So it means that they are not get through the old age, suffering of the old age.
Okay, I got your point. Any kind of untimely death is a result of previous karma. You get the point? Previous karma is karmic reaction.
Yeah, is it good for them or bad for them? Are they delivered because
No.
of this incident?
I mean, yes, as you mentioned, these three conditions, the all three conditions are causing untimely death. In most cases, untimely deaths are inauspicious. Whether it's accidental death or murder or natural calamity like the natural calamity is causing a mass devastation. Many people dying. So these are generally speaking, according to laws of material nature, they are result of sinful activities. It is like something like this you can consider. The general span of life is 100 years. But when one commits sinful activities, then that reduces. So 100 comes to 90. More sinful activities, 80. More sinful activities, 70. More sinful activities, 60. More sinful activities, 50. More sinful activities, 40. And then all of a sudden, when he reaches that point, you see his longevity has been reduced. So when it has been exhausted, when it comes to that point, all of a sudden he leaves his body. But these are general, but sometimes, it may happen that somebody who is not sinful, sometimes it happens, devotees also sometimes live untimely. But devotees' case is different. Then we have to understand that it is not because of the sinful reaction, but Krishna may have some plan, and that's why Krishna is calling him. Okay. Like for example, a classic example can be Jesus. At what age did Jesus die? To tell you frankly, I shouldn't have given that example, because I don't really know when Jesus died. Because his crucifixion was not his death. He revived. He resurrected after crucifixion. But say another example can be Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left at the age of 48. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But generally, with ordinary living entities, the understanding is that untimely death, accidental death, is inauspicious, meaning it is due to sinful reactions. And that's why in the Vedic culture there is a custom of Shraddha ceremony. By Shraddha ceremony, his family members are creating good fortune for him, relieving him from his sinful reaction, even after death. Yes?
Guru Maharaj, sometimes one may want to serve a Vaishnava with a good intention, but then, somehow that particular service is not very pleasing to him, or there might be some unexpected mistake that might have happened, and the result is that the Vaishnava is not pleased, or he's not happy, or he may even feel offended. So, but I didn't have any intention of offending that Vaishnava. I had all good intentions, but still that Vaishnava got offended, and of course I beg for forgiveness.
So go and ask him, how can you improve yourself? Right? Like, if something is disturbing or displeasing, then the Vaishnava will correct. So Vaishnavas are merciful, and if somebody is honestly and trying to serve him with all good intention, it will be appreciated. But sometimes you may say that, well, sometimes we see that the Vaishnava is displeased. Then you have to understand that this apparent service was not really to please him, but for one's self-aggrandizement. Or the way he did it was not appropriate. Anyway, the best thing is to ask him, how can I serve you? How can I please you? What will please you? Sachin?
Maharaj, getting back to that sinful reaction question, you had mentioned that in the Namabha state.
It was working fine. What did you do to it?
Sinful reaction. One of the sinful reactions are eradicated during the Namabha stage, correct? So if that's the case, then would that result in changing your karmic destiny? For example, if you had accrued so many karmic burden from previous births and you were supposed to die at 70, 75, and you've been chanting sincere attentive rounds, let's say, and destroying that in the Namabha stage.
You see, the devotee's attitude is to surrender to Krishna. Whatever Krishna wants. Whether Krishna wants me to die at 77 or he wants me to die at 17, it's up to him, Let him, Marobi Rakhovi Jo Ichha Tohara. That's the attitude of the devotee. And we have to see it also that way. That when something happens to a devotee, we have to understand it's Krishna's divine arrangement. Yes?
Thank you, Maharaj.
I'll just speak loudly. I have two questions. So the offense number 3, which is to disobey the orders of the spiritual master, does the spiritual master also include Shiksha Guru? Because if you have more than one Shiksha Guru and they have given different orders, like if you follow one, are you disobeying the other Shiksha Guru?
Good point. Yeah, very good point. So, the first point is that both the Diksha Gurus and Shiksha Gurus are on the equal level. Both are actually. Both should be treated as Gurus. Now, I think what you are saying is that if one Guru's instruction is contradicting with others, so when it contradicts, then just go to them and tell them that, look, what should I do? That's the safest way. And then, they will judge, they'll decide, oh, I didn't know that he wanted you to do that in that way. Like say, for example, your Diksha Guru wants you to distribute Prabhupada's books, and your temple president tells you to clean the pots in the kitchen. So when there is a situation like that, then you make it clear to them and leave it up to them to decide. And in most cases what will happen, they'll consult among themselves. The temple president then call up the Diksha Guru that, oh, I just got to know that you asked him to distribute books. But actually we need somebody to clean the pots in the temple. So what do you say? And then the Diksha Guru understands that and he calls up and says that, well, do whatever the temple president is.
I also had a second question. The first offense, we were talking about who exactly is a Vaishnava or who is a devotee. The first offense is to blaspheme devotees that are dedicated their lives for propagating the knowing. What about devotees who come to the temple, necessarily chanting? I don't know how to say it. I might be blaspheming them right now. So
Okay, so there is a consideration of Vaishnav etiquette and transgression of etiquette. You see, a person in a higher situation can correct somebody who is in a junior situation. But the juniors do not have the right to correct or blaspheme the senior. And say, for example, if somebody who is not chanting but coming to the temple, and you are coming to the temple and chanting, so you are in a senior position. So you can tell him, why don't you chant Hare Krishna? You've been coming to the temple, attending the Sunday feast. It seems that you appreciate the process. So please start chanting. That's not blasphemy. That is good wishes. Thank you. Yes, Nirmani Prabhu.
Yes.
That mic is strange. When you tap, it sounds. When you speak, it doesn't. Anyway, you're just, yeah. Giving some, yeah. They consider the chanting of the glories of the holy name to be imaginary or exaggeration. Sometimes it's 6 and 5 sometimes get mixed up. Which one are you talking about? The interpretation, yeah. Interpretation is, like holy name is Krishna himself. But to consider that the holy name has any other meaning or other objective or other purpose, that is the 6th offense. So, you see, as I say, Holy Krishna, Hare Krishna Mahamantra is Krishna himself. Now, any other interpretation other than that will constitute an offense. A faithless. Yeah. In that respect, Prabhupada said, for the sake of preaching, we take the risk of committing that offense. For the sake of preaching. But at the same time, we have to be careful that we deliberately do not do that. When you know that somebody is offensive, better to avoid him. As the Vaishnava, Madhyamadhikari Vaishnav's attitude is, avoid the offender. And the faithless person can be there can be 2 types. One is innocent and the other is offender. One may not know about Krishna, therefore he didn't become a devotee as yet. So he is an innocent candidate. But one who knows about Krishna and still he is still he is averse to Krishna, he is an offender. So better not to try to tell them the glory of the holy name. But we see also, Nityananda Prabhu took that risk. Jagai and Madhava were branded offenders. But he went and he decided to go and give them. But Nityananda Prabhu can do that. We shouldn't try to do that. Yes, Shaman?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. 3 questions, if you would permit. The first question is, you touched upon the point answering to Prabhu's question that sometimes the fifth and sixth offense get mixed up. In Harinam Chintamani, and actually, while we see those are put as one offense, they are not considered separately. And the offense of inattentive chanting, pramad, is a specific offense. Whereas in the Padma Puran 10 offenses which we follow, that's not considered. So it ends up being more than 10 offenses. And how do we understand like the 10th offense where Harinam Chintamani is specific towards the point of me and mine? The material attachment towards that. Padma Puran.
Puran's order. Harinam Chintamani is getting, the order is not the same. And Harinam Chintamani is actually has another one which is not there, that is inattentive. To be inattentive while chanting is the eighth offense there. So, anyway, as we said, like Prabhupada established the thing according to Padma Puran's 10 offenses.
My second question is, Guru Maharaj, on the aspect of the second offense, the Devas, to consider Krishna and Devas equal. Many a times we see Krishna himself is given the title of Deva. A lot of prayers, a lot of shlokas, Krishna is also called a Deva. And you didn't specifically talk about the position of Lord Shiva, the different demigods. So can you elaborate on the 2 points, Krishna being given the title of Deva and how to treat Lord Shiva?
See, this title sometimes is used to kind of honorify, glorify Krishna, calling him Krishna Dev, or like. But the thing is that the position Deva and position of Bhagavan are two different positions. You see, sometimes using the term and appointed to Krishna, sometimes Narad Muni is addressed as Bhagavan. But we have to understand that doesn't mean that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Creator. It is an honorific address. Both way, either way. When someone other than Krishna is being identified as Bhagavan, and sometimes Krishna himself is being identified as Deva. So it's a matter of, having the proper understanding. Sambandha will clarify these points. Third point?
My third question is on the first offense. When the devotee being attributed towards his caste or his religion or his birth, we see in Mahaprabhu's pastime, Haridas Thakur, even Rup Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, just because they worked for the Muslim king, throughout their life they maintained that position, the humble position of being belonging to a lower caste, and they didn't enter the Jagannath Puri temple, they never mingled with Vaishnavas openly. That would apparently cause others to commit Vaishnava aparats because they themselves are behaving like that. So what should be the position of a devotee? Should that be happening? Should a devotee say, no, you shouldn't consider?
Well, the thing is that you have to first understand that others are not calling Haridas Thakur an kind of low class or Muslim. He himself is not going to Jagannath Puri, thinking that, maintaining a humble attitude. Same thing with Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami went to the temple, Jagannath temple. But what Sanatan Goswami sometimes didn't do, he didn't take the main road thinking that his shadow will fall on the brahmanas, the pujaris, and will contaminate them. So this is their humble attitude. But that doesn't mean that they should be judged or they should be identified according to that behavior. Okay? Jadunath?
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Actually, my question was his second question. I was thinking about Lord Nrsimha Dev in the Devas, so it's been answered. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Do the 10 offenses apply in the same way to japa as well to kirtan, or is there a difference?
You see, the offenses are not taking place while you are chanting only. The offenses are actually the offensive attitude that we have. Right? And accordingly the holy name's reactions will be. It's not that while I am chanting I am offending or not. It is whether I am offending, in my day-to-day life, in my dealings. And if that dealings are there, if those offenses are there in my general behavior, then the holy name will not display His mercy, whether japa or kirtan.
The inattention applies. That's the only one, I guess.
But the inattention is also, inattention applies while we are chanting.
Regardless of what is.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And I have another one about the having complete faith. What would be the main things we can do to gain, to develop that complete faith in our devotional life?
Well, through hearing from the right source, reading Prabhupada's books. When you read those books, then you get the understanding of who the holy name is. When you associate with advanced devotees, we also get to know from them who the holy name is, and accordingly we develop our faith in the holy name.
So hearing, reading, association.
Yeah, hearing in right association. Right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So while chanting, can we have spiritual prayers, spiritual desires?
While you're chanting, whether
Can we have spiritual desires?
spiritual desires.
Can have
Yes.
more
The
devotion?
chanting is actually a prayer. So when you're praying, that feelings are there also. Like you're praying to Krishna. So that spiritual desire is there.
Like,
The holy name is saying that, please deliver me from this miserable condition and engage me in your loving devotional service.
like asking for more devotional service or something which will help to do more devotion, like that.
Yeah.
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 And in that is, I may be silly also, if we always try to dovetail our material desires. We always try to dovetail our material desires.
Daktila material.
Yeah. So in that case, can we also have some desires, but in the spiritual perspective?
Yeah, like, as you are saying, the dovetailing itself is the spiritual perspective. You're doing it, but then you are transforming it into Krishna's service. Like dovetailing, as Prabhupada used to say, dovetailing our propensities. Like if you like to write about Krishna. If you want to speak about Krishna. If you want to sing about Krishna. Okay?
So that kind of desire is okay.
That's
right?
all right. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
The last question? Last three questions.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. My question is kind of very, very close to her question. We have taken to this process, we understand that chanting is everything, and we are also cognizant of the fact that whatever you ask for to the demigods, it is I who am fulfilling your wishes through them. By being cognizant of these facts, is it also considered an offense to approach demigods for a temporary crisis?
Yeah, Well, again, to go back to Harinam Chintamani, it is saying there is no need to worship the demigods. When you take shelter of the holy name, there is no need to worship the demigods. Right? But on the other hand, if you just happen to go to a demigod's temple, you go offer obeisances and ask for Krishna Bhakti.
Yeah, most of the times, Maharaj,
But
it's
the thing is that if you need something, better to ask Krishna, not the demigods.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, give it to her. Oh, now it will become 4 questions. Okay.
My question is actually from yesterday. I wrote it down here. When we come to our original spiritual understanding of our original spiritual identity, does that happen spontaneously or is that a gradual process?
It depends who the person is. If somebody is quite advanced already, it will be spontaneous. But if someone is not so advanced, then by practicing the process, it will be gradual. Okay? It's not that everybody will have the same kind of result. Okay?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So, as you said that the holy name is only for to get Krishna prema, but what if we are chanting for the benefit, maybe for the health of our spiritual master, or maybe for our kids to become Krishna conscious, if we are chanting for them, so it is also considered to be an offense?
No, like we wish, like it's not that we have to chant, but we can pray for that. Right? There is a difference between, these are the prayers. All right.
To be very precise, when I heard that your health is not doing well, so I just thought that I'll chant a few extra rounds just for your health, and
That's not necessary.
so I was just considering, and even like for Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, when he was in the hospital, so we chanted few rounds extra, like just to know.
Actually, you should chant 64. I'm sorry. you should chant 24 hours a day. That should be the goal. Personally, I feel that instead of chanting as such, better to offer the prayers. Krishna, please cure him, or like, say for example, when Prabhupada was sick, Prabhupada taught us at some point to pray for him. Like he wanted to leave the planet, but the devotees requested Prabhupada to stay on. So then Prabhupada said, well, when they appealed to Prabhupada in such an earnest way, then Prabhupada said that, well, if that's what you want, then I'll stay. And you pray to Krishna. Krishna, if you so desire, please allow our spiritual master to stay with us. I mean, I never heard Prabhupada saying, chant an extra round for my health.
Thank you, Maharaj. And one more thing, Maharaj, like as we have various offenses while chanting japa, so do we have some offenses while chanting our Gayatri mantras?
Yeah. Gayatri is even more serious about offenses. Holy name is merciful. Still holy name takes the offenses. But the Panchatattva Mahamantra doesn't take offense. So last question, and give it to him.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the valuable sessions. So my question is, at the time of initiation, the sins of the disciple are removed, I heard. So are the sins of the present life or all the past lives?
The idea actually is when you surrender to Krishna, as Krishna promised, as Krishna gave the assurance, aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. So as at the time of initiation, you are surrendering to Krishna. And according to your surrender, your sins are being removed. Not only of this life, but all the sins. But at the same time, it will also depend upon to what degree, to what extent you are surrendering. 10%, 20%. So accordingly, the result will be.
And what is the better ways to connect with spiritual master?
What is the?
To connect to the spiritual master for spiritual advancement, what are the better
By
ways?
surrender. Surrender. Surrender and follow his instructions. By surrendering to him and following his instructions.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschata Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Nama, Shiva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, Gatiram Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan Mahayagya ki jai. Sankirtan Kari Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki jai.